Ladies, let me tell you something right now, and listen to me good. If a man looks you in your eyes after coming home late, acting strange, phone always turned down, and says these 6 words, you're just being too insecure, he is cheating. No ifs, no buts. Let me repeat that. You're just being too insecure. That right there is a deflection. That's guilt dressing up like concern. That's him trying to flip the script on you when the truth is he's the one doing wrong. If a man looks you dead in the eye and says, you're just being too insecure, you better stop right there and take a long, hard look at what's really going on. Because those 6 words, those exact 6 words, have become the go-to cover-up for men who know they're doing wrong but don't want to face the music. That phrase isn't about comforting you. It's not about love, reassurance, or healing. It's about control. It's a tactic, plain and simple, to flip the script and make you question your reality while he keeps hiding what he's really up to. Let's break this down. A man who's cheating is often a man who starts changing in small, sneaky ways. His patterns shift. His energy gets colder. His routine becomes inconsistent. He stops texting as much. Suddenly, he's always busy or tired or working late. And when you ask questions, not even accusations, just honest, reasonable questions, he shuts it all down with those 6 little words. You're just being too insecure. You see how neat that is, how slick? He makes you the problem, not his new behavior, not the late nights, not the sudden distance. No, it's your emotions, your sensitivity, your jealousy. But here's the real truth. A man who has nothing to hide hides nothing. Think about it. When someone loves you, really loves you, they care about how you feel. If you come to them and say, hey, something feels off, I'm not feeling as connected lately, a loving partner listens. A real man hears that and says, let's talk about it. What's going on? What can I do better? That's emotional maturity. But a man who's cheating, he gets nervous, defensive. He throws blame like it's a game of dodgeball. He doesn't want the truth out, so he hits you with the psychological move. You're insecure. And just like that, you're not asking questions anymore. You sit there doubting yourself, wondering if you're overthinking when deep down you know something's off. That's how manipulation works. It doesn't come with big explosions. It comes with soft, convincing lies that make you question your own mind. And ladies, the most dangerous lie is the one that sounds the most reasonable. When he tells you you're insecure, it feels like maybe he's right. Maybe you are being too emotional. Maybe you're just overanalyzing. But let me ask you something. When did caring about your relationship become insecurity? When did asking questions become weakness? That's what they want you to believe because that's how they stay safe in their lies. Now, let me be clear. There are people who struggle with trust because of past trauma. That's real. But there's a world of difference between past scars and current intuition. And you know the difference. You feel it. When you love someone and something starts to feel off, it doesn't come from fear. It comes from awareness, from energy, from things not adding up anymore. So when a man uses that word, insecure, as a weapon, not as concern, you better pay attention because that's a deflection, not affection. And here's the part that hurts. When you stay after hearing that line enough times, you begin to internalize it. You begin to think that maybe you are the one causing tension. You shrink. You talk less. You keep your suspicions quiet because you don't want to nag or push him away. But what you don't see is that he's already halfway gone. He's emotionally checked out, sometimes physically too. And by the time you find out what he's really been doing, you're not even surprised anymore. You're just tired. Tired of doubting yourself. Tired of fighting for answers. Tired of being made to feel like your love is a burden But let me tell you something powerful. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. You are not imagining things. That voice inside you, the one that whispers when something isn't right, is your protection. It's your strength. You have every right to ask questions. You have every right to want clarity, consistency, and honesty. And if a man truly respects you, he will never make you feel small for needing those things. He'll show up, he'll talk to you, he'll want to make sure you feel secure, not accuse you of being insecure. It's easy to fall for a smooth talker. Easy to believe the man who sounds calm while you feel chaos in your heart. But calm words don't always come from clean hands. Sometimes they're just a mask, a performance, a way to keep you confused and quiet. And I need you to remember that silence doesn't make you stronger if it's built on suppression. You can love someone and still hold them accountable. You can want a relationship and still demand respect. If a man cheats and then turns around and makes you feel bad for suspecting it, that's not just betrayal. That's manipulation. That's a whole second level of dishonesty, and it's meant to break your spirit, not just your trust. A man who's worthy of you will never make you fight for truth. He'll never let your heart spiral in doubt while he plays innocent. He'll protect your peace, not shatter it. So the next time a man throws those 6 words at you, you're just being too insecure, stop. Pause. Ask yourself what you're really feeling, what you're really seeing, what your heart already knows, but your mind is scared to admit. Because when you start believing that lie, you lose yourself. But when you start trusting yourself again, you gain something far more powerful, clarity. And once you have clarity, you no longer chase answers. You watch the truth reveal itself in the silence, in the space, in the way his actions never quite match his words. There comes a moment in every woman's life where she hears something so familiar, so rehearsed, that it stops her cold. A man looks at her maybe after she's asked a simple question like why he came home so late, or why he's been distant, or why his phone's always face down now, and he responds with a calm, measured tone. You're just being too insecure. And for a second, she might pause. She might start second-guessing herself. But deep down, a voice stirs in her that says, something ain't right. And let me tell you something from a place of truth and wisdom. When a man throws those 6 words at you, that's not comfort. That's cover. That's a man deflecting, hiding, and trying to shift blame away from his actions and onto your heart. Let's not pretend that phrase isn't new. Men have been using that line like a shield for generations. And why? Because it works. It puts you on defense. It makes you the one with the problem. It paints you as sensitive, jealous, overthinking. Meanwhile, he gets to slip away behind the fog he just created. He gets to keep doing what he's doing because now you're too focused on trying not to appear insecure, to press the issue further. That's how the game is played. And it's a cold one. The dangerous part of this is how subtle it can be. It's not loud or violent. It's soft, gentle even. So it sounds rational, reasonable. And that's how you get hooked. You think, maybe he's right. Maybe I am reading too much into things. You start talking yourself out of your own feelings. You ignore the gut instinct that something is off. You ignore the fact that your connection doesn't feel the same. And instead of watching him, you start watching yourself. You analyze every word you say. You try to be more chill, more trusting, less difficult. But while you're shrinking to make the relationship more peaceful, he's out there doing the exact thing your intuition warned you about. You can't love someone out of cheating. You can't prove you're worthy enough for someone to stop being dishonest. A man who is ready to cheat has already made the decision to prioritize his desire over your dignity. And when he's caught or close to being caught, he doesn't apologize. He manipulates. He reaches for a sentence that's designed to stop your questions before they even get started. You're just being too insecure. It's not about concern. It's about control. And here's the real kicker. The good men, the faithful men, the ones who are actually being honest, they don't use that phrase like a weapon. They might say, I want to understand why you feel that way, or let's talk about it. I want to make sure you feel secure with me. They communicate, they empathize, they take responsibility for how their behavior might be affecting the relationship. But a man who's cheating, he doesn't want a conversation. He wants a shutdown. He wants silence. He wants you to doubt yourself so he doesn't have to change a thing. Let's talk about how that line hits your heart. It plants a seed that grows into self-doubt, insecurity, and silence. And that's exactly what he wants. Because if he can get you to mistrust your own instincts, he doesn't have to change his behavior. That phrase is a strategy, not a misunderstanding. It's emotional warfare dressed up as concern. He tells you you're too insecure, and suddenly you're apologizing for questioning him. You're walking on eggshells, trying not to come off as crazy. You're trying harder, loving harder, bending over backwards to prove you're not the woman he's accusing you of being. But the whole time, he's the one who changed, not you. You see, people who have nothing to hide don't hide. People who are loyal welcome questions. They don't run from conversations. They lean into them. They say, let's work through this together. But a man who's stepping out, even if it's just emotionally, he doesn't want the spotlight on his behavior, so he puts the spotlight on your reaction. And that's what those 6 words are designed to do. The reason this hits so hard is because so many women are conditioned to doubt themselves. We're told not to be too needy, too emotional, too intense. So when a man calls you insecure, it taps into a fear you already carry, and that's how you get trapped. You start blaming yourself for the tension in the relationship. You start taking on the guilt that was never yours to carry. And while you're doing emotional acrobatics trying to fix yourself, he's doing the very thing that caused the problem in the first place. But here's what you need to know. You are not too much. Your feelings are not too big. Your desire for honesty, communication, and consistency is not a weakness. It's a strength. Wanting answers doesn't make you insecure. Wanting clarity doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you someone who values truth. And if a man can't handle that, then maybe it's not your questions that are the problem. Maybe it's his behavior. If he accuses you of being insecure every time you bring up something real, something valid, then he's not protecting you, he's protecting himself. And that's the hardest part. Because when someone you love starts making you feel like the enemy for simply wanting emotional safety, that's a betrayal that cuts deep. It makes you feel unseen, unheard, and unworthy. But you are none of those things. A woman who listens to her intuition is dangerous to the wrong man. She's powerful, not insecure. She's observant, not paranoid. And when she starts asking questions, it's not to start a fight, it's to find the truth. So don't let anyone twist your care into a character flaw. Don't let a cheating man rewrite your story with his fear of exposure. You deserve someone who welcomes your questions, who calms your fears, not feeds them, who holds your heart gently, not uses it as a shield to protect their secrets. A man who's honest doesn't need a gaslight. A man who's faithful doesn't need to manipulate. And a man who really loves you, he won't make you feel like your love is a problem that needs fixing. He'll make you feel like your love is exactly what it is, something worth honoring, protecting, and choosing every single day. There's something chilling about how calm he says it, like he's not even surprised you brought it up. You ask him why he's been distant, why things feel off, and without skipping a beat, he sighs and says, "You're just being too insecure." 6 words. That's all it takes. 6 carefully chosen words to shift the entire narrative. And in that moment, something inside you hesitates. You wonder if maybe you are the problem. Maybe you are overreacting. Maybe you're imagining things. But that's exactly what he wants, because a man who's cheating knows the easiest way to keep you quiet is to make you question your own intuition. That's what those 6 words are about. It's not a misunderstanding. It's not concern. It's a strategy, a cheat code, a line he's rehearsed not just to silence your questions, but to turn your concern into self-doubt. And it works. Because it's subtle. It sounds like he's trying to help, like he's offering you perspective. But what he's really doing is deflecting. He's protecting the lie by turning your focus inward. Instead of asking why he changed, why his stories don't add up, or why your gut feels uneasy, now you're asking yourself, why am I like this? You're looking at yourself under a microscope while he keeps everything he's doing behind the curtain. Men don't just start cheating with their bodies. It begins in the little ways, in how they pull back, in how they stop looking you in the eye when they talk, and how their phone suddenly never leaves their side, and how they stop sharing things, stop being open. You feel it first, the shift. You can't always explain it, but you know something's different. And when you finally gather the courage to bring it up, hoping for honesty, hoping for reassurance, he responds not with answers, but accusations. Now, suddenly, you're insecure. You're too emotional. You're too intense. And just like that, you become the villain in your own story. It's a cruel trick, because all you wanted was the truth. All you wanted was to feel close again. And instead, you get gaslit. You get made to feel ashamed of your emotional intelligence. And that's what makes this so painful. A cheating man doesn't just break your trust. He breaks your sense of self. He makes you think you're crazy for noticing the very things he's trying to hide. That kind of manipulation runs deep. It plants seeds of doubt that lasts long after he's gone. You start second-guessing yourself in future relationships. You stop asking questions. You convince yourself that silence is safer than speaking up. And all of that came from 6 simple words. But let's be real. A faithful man doesn't need to call you insecure. If he sees you struggling, if he sees you worried or unsure, he holds you closer. He doesn't use your emotions as a weapon. He sees them as an opportunity to connect. He listens. He responds with love. He reminds you with actions, not just words, that you are safe with him. But a man who is cheating, he's not trying to connect. He's trying to protect himself. He's not focused on your heart. He's focused on keeping his secrets. And it always follows a pattern. First, the deflection. You're being insecure. Then comes the guilt. I can't even talk to you without being accused. Then the silence. He stops engaging, stops explaining, and leaves you to sit with your overthinking, which only grows heavier because now, not only do you feel distant from him, but you also feel disconnected from yourself. That's not a relationship. That's emotional survival. That's walking on eggshells, trying not to trigger his excuses while drowning in your own unspoken fears. Let me say this clearly. You are not insecure for noticing a change in energy. You are not needy for wanting communication. You are not paranoid for asking questions when things don't feel right. Those are signs of awareness. Those are signs of emotional intelligence. You are not difficult. You are discerning. There's a big difference between being insecure and being intuitive. The problem is not your sensitivity. The problem is his secrecy. And when a man uses your emotions against you, that's not love, it's manipulation. A man who cares about you will want to ease your mind, not play with it. He will want to answer your questions, not avoid them. He will care about your peace, because your peace will matter to him. But when he's cheating, he doesn't have time to soothe your soul. He's too busy covering his tracks, and if making you doubt yourself helps him stay hidden, he won't hesitate to do it. So when those 6 words hit your ears, pause. Don't absorb them. Don't carry them like truth. Ask yourself what your spirit has been trying to tell you. Ask yourself why things started to feel different. Trust your gut, because your intuition is never random. It is the language your heart speaks when your mind is still trying to stay polite. And no matter how calm or convincing he sounds, no man should ever make you feel small for wanting to feel safe. You're just being too insecure. Those 6 words are like a trap door in a conversation. You step into the moment thinking you're finally going to get some answers, some honesty, some peace, and instead the ground beneath you disappears. 1 minute, you're calmly expressing how distant he's been lately, how he's been acting different, how something doesn't feel right, and the next, you're defending your emotions like you've done something wrong just for feeling. That's how emotional manipulation works. It doesn't raise its voice. It doesn't show its teeth. It sits there with a soft tone and a straight face and makes you believe that you are the problem. Let's not sugarcoat this. A man who cheats doesn't always come with obvious signs. He doesn't always lie badly. In fact, some of them get real good at keeping their story straight. But where they mess up is in energy. They start to change in how they treat you, how they look at you, how present they are in the relationship. The man who used to call just to say he missed you now only texts when he has to. The man who used to talk about the future now avoids any deep talk. The man who used to leave his phone on the table now keeps it face down or tucked away like it's holding state secrets. And when you notice, because you will notice, and bring it up, suddenly you're too sensitive, too emotional, too insecure. Those 6 words are a smokescreen. They're meant to distract you from what's really happening. Instead of focusing on why your gut is screaming, now you're too busy trying not to come off crazy. That's the power of subtle manipulation. It shifts the spotlight not onto his behavior, but onto your reaction. And the moment that happens, he's won. Because now you're not asking real questions anymore. You're quiet. You're scared to push further. You're trying to prove that you're the cool, low-maintenance woman he says he wants, even though it's eating you alive inside. He knows exactly what he's doing. Don't think for a second that line is accidental. A man who cheats learns very quickly which words make you freeze. He'll act calm. He'll sound rational. He'll speak in a tone that makes you feel like he's just being logical. But really, he's running from accountability. That phrase is a wall, something he throws up when he doesn't want you getting any closer to the truth. And once he labels you as insecure, any concerns you bring up after that get dismissed. It's no longer about what he did. It's about how you always overthink. And here's where it gets even more twisted. You start to believe it. You start rereading your messages before sending them. You start apologizing for things that don't require apologies. You second-guess your tone, your words, your instincts, all because one man decided to use your emotions against you instead of answering the question you asked. That's not a relationship. That's emotional manipulation dressed up as conflict resolution, and it leaves damage. You begin to shrink slowly at first. You hold back. You don't ask where he's been when he disappears for hours. You don't question the sudden secrecy around his phone. You bite your tongue when he says something that doesn't add up. Not because you don't care, but because you're exhausted. Because you've been made to feel like asking for basic respect is somehow wrong. That is not love. That is not partnership. That is a man using your desire for peace to protect his own dishonesty. Now, here's what most women don't hear enough. Your intuition is not insecurity. That voice inside you, the one that starts to whisper when something's off, that's your power. That's not paranoia, it's perception. And more often than not, it's right. We've been conditioned to override our instincts in the name of not being too much. But too much is what keeps you from getting walked over. Too much is what brings the truth to light. So if your gut is telling you something's not right, don't let 6 words erase what your heart already knows. A man who truly loves and respects you will not throw your feelings in your face. He won't use the word insecure as a sword. He'll ask what's wrong. He'll make space for your concerns. He'll want you to feel safe and heard, not confused and silenced. Because love isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, being accountable, being willing to have uncomfortable conversations, because peace matters more than pride. But a man who's cheating, he doesn't want peace. He wants you quiet. He wants to stay comfortable in the mess he created without having to answer for it. You don't need to explain your instincts to anyone who's making you feel crazy for having them. You don't need to prove your worth by staying silent. You don't need to play cool when your soul is begging you to speak. Because if those 6 words are the only response he has when you're seeking honesty, then you've already heard everything you need to know. And the truth, it was never hidden. You just weren't ready to stop giving the benefit of the doubt. Until now.